What is up YouTube, JJC Games here, and when you think of video game bosses, you think of these big bad dudes that take a lot of preparation, grinding, and practicing to get through. Now let's say we just took all of that away and make every boss die in one hit. Titan Souls is an action adventure game where the only enemies you face are bosses, and they all die in one hit. Sounds terrible, right? Oh my god, this is amazing! It's a weird concept, and the first time I've ever seen it, but man, what a great concept. It brings something new to video game bosses, something never seen before. Like I said before, usually bosses are these tough people that you have to prepare for by leveling up, buying items, practicing, and more. However, Titan Souls completely changes that by making the bosses die in one hit. So, how is this concept executed and why is it so good? Well, let me show you. The game starts off by dropping you off in some random location with no instructions besides the tutorial, so you're kind of like, I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. All I know is that I must kill. The only items the player ever gets is a bow and exactly one arrow, which has to be picked up or pulled back by using the force to be able to use it again. Also, when you're shooting the arrow, you can only do it while standing in place, so you have to time your shots carefully so you don't die to whichever boss you're fighting. On top of that, you die in one hit, not just the bosses, so it's really a case of who can clap the other first. You can also roll away from attacks, which is very useful in the game. And it might be an iframe. I'm not sure, but I think it is. Either way, just know rolling is a very helpful mechanic in Titan Souls that you should definitely use. That's pretty much it for the player's mechanics. It's very simple. I mean, you got your attack, dodge, and that's about it. You see, what makes this game's fight so complex isn't the mechanics the player has, but rather the mechanics the bosses have. You see, the bosses die in one hit, so in theory, they should be very easy to kill, right? That's where you're wrong, bucko. The bosses usually have a weak point, which is usually like a pinkish reddish color. Sometimes the weak point is very obvious, but other times you have to actually figure it out yourself, which may take a few attempts. The developers get very creative with these weak points. For example, this boss, which you have to leave your arrow and then pull it back after you shoot it to hit his weak spot to kill him. You also have to figure out their attacks and how to avoid them. Sometimes they may unexpectedly hit you with an attack you've never seen in previous attempts. Additionally, you have to figure out when the best time to attack is, since you can only shoot while standing in place. A few of the bosses have more than one phase, so I guess technically not all the bosses die in one hit. With these bosses, you gotta figure out not only their weak point, but how to get them to their next phase as well. None of the bosses are really a repeat or a copy of each other, which is great because every boss is a unique and cool fight. Then there's also the true final boss, but I'm gonna talk about him later when I start talking about spoilers. To wrap it up, the combat in this game is very simple, but the developers' creativity makes the bosses very fun and challenging to fight, and have made a new and unique way of fighting bosses in video games. The visuals in Titan Souls are pretty decent. It's obviously not a game with super omega ray tracing graphics like Metro Exodus or something like that, but the pixel art style used is pretty great. There are several locations throughout the game that are all portrayed beautifully using this pixel art style. Also, every boss has their own style based on their location, which is a nice little detail I like. Even the visuals of the boss's attacks are pretty cool, so overall I think the visuals in Titan Souls are great. It's not the best, which is probably because only 3 people worked on the game, but these 3 people did a great job, so I'm proud of them. Unlike my father is of me. Okay, the visuals are decent, but you know what's even better? The music! The music is one of the best things this game has to offer. I mean, just listen to it playing in the background. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? It makes every boss feel so epic. It feels like you're actually the main character and you're actually fighting. This is the final fight of your life, and if you don't win, the world is going to implode and everyone will slowly die. Oh wait, that's already happening. My bad. What I'm trying to say is the soundtrack in this game is so freaking good, and it makes every fight feel amazing, and even outside of the fights the soundtrack is good. Whoever made the soundtrack is an absolute genius, and just please listen to the soundtrack. I promise this isn't sponsored, and it's just that good. I can't find any more words to describe it, so let's move on to the next topic, because if we don't soon, I'll be here all day talking about the soundtrack. Okay, go. The story of the game is, well, confusing. Look, I'll be honest, I don't even know if this game actually has a story. Like, it definitely has some lore, but a story, I'm just not sure about that. I mean, at the beginning, you wake up in this temple and are given no context, only a tutorial. You just kind of pull up and kill everyone for no reason. I honestly kind of feel bad about it now. There is a lore though when you find this hidden room and there's this cutscene that plays and give you some context as to why you're doing what you're doing. And then at the end of the game you fight the truth, which to be honest seems like a major Full Metal Alchemist reference. But anyway, I guess this fight also adds some lore to the game. In conclusion, I don't know if this game actually has a story, so I can't really say if it's good or not. But it does have some lore, and I have to say, I don't even know what the lore is either. I kind of just pulled up and killed every Titan. Oh, looks like I gotta write an apology for that one. Overall, Titan Souls is a great game that provides a unique boss fighting experience that I've never seen before. The visuals are pretty good and the soundtrack is amazing, but the story is confusing if it's even there. I don't know, man, but either way, this game is good. So if you haven't played it, I'd recommend it. It's not that long either, so it won't take that long to beat. Well, Titan Souls is a very underrated masterpiece that I think deserves a lot more attention, but I doubt I'd bring it any. I mean, I have 0 subscribers, what am I gonna do? By the way, please subscribe.